6 o'clock. Time to formally open this meeting of the Rural City of Wangaratta at the Tarrawingee Hall. The Rural City of Wangaratta live stream. Clause 25 of the Governor's Rules provides the following. This public meeting is being recorded to improve access to the meeting for our community. The recording will be published and will be retained by Council in accordance with the Council's legal obligations. As a visitor to the gallery, your presence may be recorded. Item number 1. It's my privilege to respectfully acknowledge the traditional custodians of our wonderful country. We give thanks to all our ancestors whose vision, determination, innovation and resilience built our prosperous, inclusive and democratic country. We acknowledge that we are the proud inheritors of this legacy and we accept the challenge to continue to nourish and nurture our communities. And we pledge to work to implement and enhance opportunities for the benefit of future generations, our children and their children into the future. Opening prayer. Almighty God, we humbly ask Thee to bless and guide this Council in its deliberations so that we may truly preserve the welfare of the people whom we serve. Amen. If I could ask the gallery to keep their opinions to themselves. I move to item number 5, which is the acceptance of apologies and granting of leave of absence. Do we have any of that? No? Item number 7, which is the confirmation of minutes. And the recommendation is that we read and confirm the minutes of the scheduled meeting of 23rd September 2025 and the unscheduled meeting of 6 October 2025 is a true and accurate record of the proceedings of the meetings. Do I have someone to move that, please? Councillor Benton, thank you. Someone to second? Councillor Bussell? Councillor Maxwell, thank you. Councillors, are we all in agreement? Thank you. Item number 8, which is the conflict of interest disclosure. Do we have any conflict of interest that needs to be disclosed? No? We move to item number 9, which is the reception of petitions, and we have a petition on the Curtis Lane upgrade.
Sorry, Mayor, I'm just getting my computer to work.
Yeah, that's okay.
Thank you. A petition containing 12 signatures has been received by Council. This petition urges Council to consider upgrading Curtis Lane as a priority before tripping or injury or car damage occurs. States that the laneway has fallen into disrepair and that there have been a lot of elderly customers that frequently use the laneway for car park to Reed Street businesses that have complained about the condition of the laneway. A copy of the letter is provided in the Council report, and the recommendation is that Council receives the petition and refers it to the Chief Executive Officer for consideration and response.
Okay, councillors, do we have someone to move that we receive the petition? Councillor Fuller and Councillor Fitzpatrick to second. Councillor Fuller, it's a straightforward process. Now we actually receive the petition, it's referred to the Chief Executive Officer for consideration and response. So, Councillor, are we all in agreement to receive this petition? Thank you. Now, councillors, we move to item number 11, which is the council reports, and I have a council report today to give. And it is that the Deputy Mayor, Councillor Harvey Benton and I last week visited a number of businesses in the CBD in response to their concern about the Easy Park parking system. The discussion was centred around use of the new system, the impact of paid parking on business, and what other issues impact on business and how this new system could be improved. Council made the decision in February this year to move from the physical infrastructure that is expensive to maintain and replace it with a more flexible and responsive Easy Park app. There was also provision made for vouchers, monthly and annually, for users unable to access the new system. While paid parking is not new to Wangaratta, and the Easy Park system has been in place since 2019, there are concerns that the system is not user-friendly, in particular with people who don't have smartphones or are unable to use this technology. It needs to be acknowledged that a user-pays parking system, which has been in place in Wangaratta for several decades, helps to cover some of the costs associated with the provision of parking and amenity around the CBD. It's important to know that our current paid parking arrangements are tied to the contract of the multi-deck car parking up Upton Street. That's critical. This contract was signed in 2012 and was aimed at responding to future parking needs in the CBD. The contract will run until 2034. Council has provided direct assistance to users to help them with the use of the payment system. Council has and is responding proactively to feedback to help improve the system's accessibility. And all the councillors sitting around this table have been involved in direct conversation and consultation with the community over these parking issues. It's interesting to know that during September 2025, there were more than 14,000 transactions using the app. The system offering a quicker, more flexible way to manage parking, and users only pay for the time they actually use. In September 2024, there was 7,000 users. The community should also be aware there is also free timed parking around the CBD. Big W, behind the Post Office and the Performing Arts Centre. Just to mention a few. The Council is currently working to improve online and physical signage to assist with this process. While CBD-wide free parking may seem appealing, it's important to consider the broader impact. Without this revenue, we would be forced to consider other options to fill this income gap, either with increased rates, reduction of services, or the introduction of levies across the CBD, which is a feature of other communities around Victoria. Some cities have even introduced a municipal-wide special charge. Each community is different, and some form of paid parking is a universal issue. And I will say that constructive feedback helps us to continue to refine and improve the service to meet our community needs. I table this report, councillors.
Just like to move that report be noted on the minutes, please.
Thank you, Councillor Benton. Would someone second that? Councillor Fuller?
If I may take the liberty to just support some of the remarks in that document. And
can we just get a vote on receiving the report and then I'll... Yeah, Harvey's right? Yep.
Right. I've got all clearance.
Yeah, you've got the clearance. You can fly.
That some of the remarks that have been supporting the document, and some of the, just like to point out some of the chatter that's on, going around in relation to the Easy Park app. Today I worked out when you heard in the report that 72 cents average parking fee at the moment, and yet we're not going to shop in Wangaratta because it's too difficult, too dear. You go to, and I've heard people say they go to Walgreens, but I've got quick maths by me, that costs you $10 just in fuel alone. If we kept the old system, which was out of date, and the technology overrun it, and one of the big things was the switching over 3G, we would put the parking meters up to $5. I can imagine all the war dances that would have been going on. So in fact, we say the fact of replacing the parking meters with the Easy Go has saved us 1% in rates. We've also received, with using Easy Park, you're going to have a reduction of about 40% in parking fees. Yes, the council have inherited over the years a facility, and we've got to manage that at an extreme cost. There's no such thing as free parking. Time parking is available. People say they can't get to their health. The whole health precinct in Wangaratta has time parking. There's only 2 doctors' clinics in the business district that's covered by this. So I think some of the research has to come from the community to give us some clear direction where we're going. We can't afford to keep paying people to go around and pick up $10 in a parking meter. So I think we've got to accept the technology. I'm one of the dinosaurs that everyone's saying is too old to use the thing. I've had a battle way, and if you ask the officers in the room here how I struggle with computer and computer aid at times, you'd understand. But that's the way of the world. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Benton. So Councillor Benton has moved to support the report that was tabled and has added some comments of his own. So, councillors, that's been moved by Councillor Benton and seconded by Councillor Fuller. Are we all in agreement to receive the report? Thank you.
Madam Mayor, is there any room for discussion about parking now, or we've got to leave it for question time?
Leave it until question time, Mr. Fox.
I think.
We move to corporate leisure, item 13.1, which is the annual report for 2024 to 2025.
Thank you, Mayor Grant. This report is presented for Council to consider adopting the annual report for the 2024 to 25 financial year. At the previous council meeting, the council adopted the financial statements, performance statements and governance and management checklist, and those have since been submitted to the Victorian Auditor General's Office, where they received final approval earlier this month. No changes have been made to the statements since Fargo's review, and the annual report ultimately provides an overview of Council's financial performance as well as the achievements and performance levels over the past year. So the recommendation is now that Council adopts the annual report as attached to the agenda. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Brindley. Do we have a question from the audience on this particular item? If not, I'll ask councillors who'd like to move that we accept the recommendation of Councillor Fuller. Someone to second, please. Councillor Fitzpatrick. Thank you. Councillor Fuller, would you like to speak to? No, Councillor Fitzpatrick. No, it's an obligation that Council needs to meet, and we're delighted that the Victorian Auditor General has received our report and given their approval. So, councillors, moved by Councillor Fuller and seconded by Councillor Fitzpatrick. Is everyone in agreement? Thank you. We now move to item 13.2, which is the Council Plan 2025 to 2029, which also includes the Municipal Public Health and Wellbeing Plan.
Thank
Dr.
you.
Ringley.
Thank you. Yes, so that document, as referenced in its draft form, was published to the community for a period of 28 days back at the August Council meeting, and that's the second round of community engagement and review of this document. We received 55 submissions from members of the community, and also had about 94 interactions from members of the public at pop-up events at the library, the kiosk and the Sports and Aquatics Centre. The report provides an attached summary of all of those community submissions and the Office of Recommendations in response to those, which have now been included in an updated final document, which is put here for councillors to consider adopting the Council Plan 2025 to 29 and Municipal Public Health and Wellbeing Plan this evening.
Thank you. Thank you, Director Brindley. Do we have a question from the audience on this particular item? Yes, could you state your name, please? We know who you are, Anne, but for the record, please.
Anne Dunstan. Congratulations to the council officers on following up on the feedback that was received. That I can see that there's been some considerable changes in the document between when it was released previously to the final document. The only question I have is, and I missed it previously, is that this document references in the sources at the back of the document that it's subject to the equality impact assessment, whereas the previous council plan that this is replacing was only subject to a gender impact assessment. And I actually can't find where the requirement for councils come from to meet this new level of requirements. And can you explain the difference between a gender impact assessment and an equality impact assessment, if possible?
I'll ask the CEO to...
Yeah, happy to do that, thank you. So under the Gender Equality Act, all councils and similar organisations are required to undertake gender equity impact assessments, which is what you'll be familiar with. Ourselves and some other councils have expanded that to be broader equity impact assessment. The reason being is that under the Gender Equity Act, you actually have to include what they call something called intersectionality, but that means looking at also other diversity factors like age, ability, and so on. Essentially, you already have to do those under the Act, and we just formally included that within the assessment template and named it as such. If you read the Act, it actually requires you to consider all those things anyway.
I think it's fair to say that there's a need for a greater understanding of all that terminology, and councils actually working through that at this particular point. Thank you. Thanks for the question, Anne. Any other questions from the audience? So, councillors, we've got a recommendation. Would you like to move that recommendation? Councillor Benton, thank you. Who'd like to second? Councillor Winters. Councillor Benton, would you like to speak to?
To say that I don't think in my 20 years I've ever seen a council plan being put out to the public, got so much advice back from the public and had so much response back from the public in relation to the council plan. And it's a document we must have, and does a lot of direction in some of the activities that actually drive other strategies within the organisation. So it is an important document. I think quite frankly, we've pulled over and chewed on the bone for quite some time doing this council plan, and I think we've got it as best as we can. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Benton. Councillor Winters, do you want to speak to?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. This is one of those documents I was proud to watch develop as a new councillor nearly a year ago. And I'd like to thank the community members who took part in the surveys, in-person events, drop-in chats, and those who submitted letters and reached out to councillors and officers over this time. I'd also like to recognise that the council officers put in so much time to develop these documents, some of you are here in the back of the room, and sincerely thank them for all of their hard work and patience. They did a great job. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Councillor Winters. It certainly is important to thank the council officers for the work that they've done and committed to the council plan, but I think most importantly to thank our community for the feedback. And it has been of interest to me to see what has emerged in this engagement process. The emphasis has been on community wellbeing, the natural environment, the economy and tourism, and infrastructure in place, and they tend to be very much the pillars that sit behind what local government is there to do. So, as Councillor Benton said, we've chewed on this bone for a very long time. We're confident that we've actually arrived at a point where this particular document is very much what our community would like to see. But I think what's important is that we continue our dialogue with the community. You know, if things are not in place in the way that they would like to see, then, you know, that's the sort of conversation that we need to have. So I certainly appreciate all the feedback that we've received from our community, and we've finally landed on a council plan, and it will go forward in October, and that is a testament to the many hours of hard work by not only our council officers but the community as well. So thank you to everyone for that. So Councillor Benton has moved and Councillor Winters has seconded. Councillors, are we all in agreement? Thank you. We now move to item number 13.3, which is the financial plan, which is also very much inextricably linked to our council plan. And I ask the Director of Corporate Leisure to once again give the presentation.
Thank you. So it certainly is. So the financial plan sets out the revenue, investment, priorities and underlying risks and assumptions relating to Council's financial performance over the next 10 years, including funding the delivery of the Council plan within that. This was similarly published to the community in its draft form back at the August Council meeting for engagement, and on this one we received just 2 submissions, and again the report details how those have been considered, with a couple of probably more minor changes included in the document. No resulting change to the actual financial performance included in there, but they have been considered and some adjustments made. So again, now the 2025 to 35 financial plan is presented to councillors for your consider to also adopt this one. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Bentley. Is there a question from the audience on this particular item? Would you just introduce yourself, please, Mr. Fox, just for the record?
I think you're, tell me if I'm wrong, but I believe that some of the contributors to the council plan were actually paid to be at the breakfast. They got $100 each. And I found that just a little bit obnoxious. Somebody like to tell me I'm wrong, or why don't you explain it to me?
Point of order, Madam Mayor. This is a previous item that he's talking to, not the current one.
There's a question you could ask later in question time if you so desire, Mr. Fox. We've moved now to the financial plan, and we are talking about the financial plan.
Thank you.
Thank you. A question to the financial plan? If not, councillors, we have a recommendation. Having considered the submissions to the financial plan, would someone like to move? Councillor Fuller and Councillor Benton. Thank you. Councillor Fuller, would you like to speak? Councillor Benton, would you like to speak? Would any other councillor like to speak? Councillor Russell.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd like to acknowledge the amount of work that's gone into this financial plan. It's a very, a lot of work's gone into it. However, many of the people in the real city Wangaratta have very tight budgets. And I can't support a financial plan with rate rises of 2 and 3%, particularly the next couple of years. I just can't support that because we're taking out people's pockets and putting the council on us. It's just doesn't pass the pub test for me. So, Madam Mayor, I can't support the plan with 2 or 3% rate rises. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Russell. Well, it is a difficult decision that council has to make, but we obviously need to run the organisation, and council has the forecast for the future and the need to look forward to how we will manage our budget and a modest rate rise, which that's what it is. I think is important, but certainly hear your concerns. So, Councillor Fuller, would you like to speak?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just to Councillor Russell's notes, as individual councillors over the coming years with the budget, we will all consider these as part of the process. The high-level rise that's mentioned in this document is just a huge amount. The Essential Services Group Commission, thank you, are the ones that actually set that bar, and we will adapt and move with them and individually decide on a yearly basis with the budget as to how we accept and change and move with the rate. Thank you.
Councillor Benton, speak.
I'd just like to, I can sympathise with Councillor Russell, and I'm probably on the same page, but also this year, it's all very well to say we're going to have no percentage rise, but our rates are determined by valuation, and a lot of properties actually went down this year. So, in the council, this financial plan is a guide, more so than it's actually set in contract. It gives us some direction where we will be. So every year, as Councillor Fuller has just remarked, every year we'll do a review of where we land. And I think that's the time when we start to say, right, there'll be no rise. But this is giving us some indication how we're going to manage and service financial sustainability, to do all the wording in my opinion, but to the reality of it all. And I can quite sympathise with Councillor Russell in the rural sector, where we have an explosion of rates, because over the last 5 years they've gone up 30%, this year they've gone down a little bit, but the rural residential have stayed around about 2.5% rate valuation. So that's the complexity, and all we can control is the percentage of rate rise. Thank you.
And I think it's important to note too that our rate rise is within CPI as well. So I think that's got to be considered that, as costs go up, it doesn't matter where you are, things getting more expensive, and we need to be able to meet those rises and continue to provide services to the community. So councillors, anyone else wish to speak to this particular item? If not, Councillor Fuller's moved. Councillor Fuller, you don't want to make any closing remarks. Councillor Benton to second. So we're all in agreement. And Councillor Russell is opposed. We move to item 13.4, which is the sunset of major council policy consultation local law 4. And Director of Corporate Leisure once again.
Last one, thank you. So this is the Major Council Policy Consultation Local Law 4. Each local law, when it was created, has a 10-year lifespan, and this local law has come to the end of that natural lifespan. This report is really just for noting by councillors to note the sunsetting of that local law, and a large reason for that is since it was introduced, the community engagement policy has since come into force, which covers a lot of the core intent of that local law. So yeah, back to councillors.
Thank you, Director Ringley. Councillors, we've got someone to move the recommendation, or actually a question to the audience about this particular item. If not, Councillor Fitzpatrick. Councillor Winters, Councillor Maxwell. Councillor Fitzpatrick, would you like to speak? Councillor Maxwell. Councillors, we have the recommendation moved by Councillor Fitzpatrick, seconded by Councillor Maxwell. Are we all in agreement? Thank you very much, councillors. We now move to item 14.1, which is the community sponsorship grants. And the Director for Community and Infrastructure to speak to that.
Thank you, Mayor. This report is presented to Council to provide recommendations on the 25-26 Community Sponsorship Grants Program. Following a comprehensive assessment process, the Community Sponsorships Panel has recommended funding 12 projects, 6 located within the urban area of Wangaratta and 6 within the rural areas. The total funding allocation for the program is $56,774. The 25-26 Community Sponsorship Grants Program is for 1 year, and and then the 26-27 will revert back to the normal 3-year cycle program. The program was open for applications from the 31st of August to the 1st of September, promoted through various channels, social media, website, direct emails, newsletters, community groups and organisations. Council's officer team facilitated drop-in sessions at the Wangaratta Council offices and held many individual conversations and meetings with applicants and groups to help support their submissions. The applications are assessed through a 2-stage process, with stage 1 being eligibility and stage 2 via the assessment panel. Upon council endorsement, successful and unsuccessful applicants will be notified. The recommendation is that council approves the recommended applications for the Community Sponsorship Grants Program, and once approved, council discloses the successful applicants.
Thank you, Director Gooden. Is there a question from the audience? Claire, could you state your name just for the record?
Claire Russell. I'm just interested in why community grants are awarded to organisations that have federal and state funding. Why would we be not spreading our community money to really local? Yep. So there's one obvious one there, but yeah.
And that one is
CAV.
yes.
I don't understand. Those organisations receive significant funding, and we have such a small amount of money. I think I remember reading also that one of the schools received some funding. That might have been a previous round. I don't understand that. Schools receive state government funding.
That's right.
We have community money that would go to, and I know that the eligibility criteria is obviously being met, but so I question what the eligibility criteria are.
I think in the case of the school receiving funding, they actually did a very much of a community focused activity, and that was the reason why they received funding.
Yeah.
But I'll ask Director Gooden to explain the reason why CAB and certainly recognise what you're saying about them receiving significant funding, and we need to be very prudent in where funding is allocated, that we're not double, that some organisations are not actually double dipping.
Yeah, so the eligibility criteria is quite clearly set out, and as you pointed out clearly, they do meet it. Regardless of the organisation, I won't speak to specifics of it, but it needs to be a program that is going to support the community, so it needs to be something that they weren't going to do as their ordinary standard of business. So we support a number of those programs. Probably the most disappointing piece about the sponsorships that we have in front of us at the moment is that we actually had more money to give, but unfortunately the response and the sponsorships that came in either didn't meet the criteria or were not particularly well put together, and therefore we actually ended up awarding less money than what we actually had. So I know that doesn't answer your question, but it does go some way to sort of pointing out that we would like to continue working with the community to make sure that some of these other submissions can get up to that standard and are eligible, and we can support them moving forward.
Right. So just, thinking about, so if I'm a bigger organisation, I have a lot of money, but I see community grants are available, I might go, okay, we won't fund that with our money, we'll put a community grant application in to get some more money. You don't have to comment on that much, it's okay. That's just my thinking around that. So I just would really, I guess, like council to award our money to, unfunded organisations, basically. So thank you very much.
We are bringing the sponsorships and grants policy back to council in the next 6 months, so there'll certainly be an opportunity to review those things that you're talking about.
So councillors, we have a recommendation before us. Would someone like to move that, please? Councillor Winters?
Excuse me, Madam Mayor, is there time for a second question here? I thought I had my hand up.
I didn't see your hand, Mr. Fox. I will allow it. What's your question?
Madam Mayor, I believe the council should take a very large step back with the community grants. I don't know how many years ago, but it's not that many, when the council bought a car. And
Mr. Fox, what's your question? What's your question, please? It's question time. It's not a time to make a statement.
I'm asking council to go back to the old system rather than have the community grants that are determined by how many people on your committee have a university education and can write a good application. The original one was that the council bought the car, you applied for raffle books, which were sold at $2 each. And
well, can I remind you, Mr. Fox, Mr. Fox.
I've got to be able to get to the question.
Mr. Fox, this is a formal meeting and I am chairing this meeting, and I will respond to you now with the question that or the statement that you're making, that particular raffle sponsorship is council has supported that, and the Rotary Club of Appin Park are actually running that particular raffle. So that is the answer to your question, and thank you very much. So, councillors, Councillor Winters to move. Someone to second, please. Councillor Fitzpatrick. Councillor Winters, would you like to speak?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The Community Sponsorship Grant Program reflects a commitment to supporting community-led projects across our whole municipality. I've seen firsthand the benefits these grants have for our local community, particularly for projects that often fall outside the eligibility criteria of typical community grants, which makes it difficult for community groups to deliver these projects. I want to thank the council officers who assist community groups and organisations to deliver this initiative, and those who take part in the assessment panel. Is a tough gig with a large number of applicants and a competitive process with many worthy projects that benefit our diverse community. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Winters. Councillor Fitzpatrick. Would any other councillor like to speak? You're okay? Well, look, I think the report is self-explanatory. We are, as Director Goodman said, reviewing the whole community grants and sponsorship processes into the future. I think it's important that Council continues with sponsorship and a grants program, because it actually allows community groups to do some of the work that they do already and do it without having to think about where they're going to get their dollars from. And you know, it is money that allows us to value add in a very important way into the community. So I think, you know, while we're going through a review, I think it's something that we're obviously going to continue into the future and ensure that, you know, that these dollars are available to the community, but in which format is something that we're going to obviously consider. So, councillors, Councillor Winters has moved, Councillor Fitzpatrick has seconded. Are we all in agreement? Thank you. Councillor Winters, would you please reveal the successful applicants, please?
So following community groups are recommended for funding for the Community Sponsorship Grant Program for 2025 to 2026. Greater Symphony Orchestra Inc., Centre Against Violence, North East Horticultural Association, Gateway Health, Free Spirits Farm Sanctuary, Open Door Neighbourhood House, Upper King Valley Community Centre Incorporated, Ovens and King Football Netball League, King River and District Fishing Club, King River CWA Victoria Branch, Oxley Shire Hall Committee, and the Whitfield Recreation Reserve Asset Committee.
Thank you, Councillor Winters. Councillors, now we move to the minutes of the advisory committee meetings, item 18.1. And Executive Services Coordinator.
Thank you, Mayor. Just for Council's noting, there are minutes of the August meeting of the Audit and Risk Committee and the April and August meetings of the Arts and Culture Advisory Committee. They are there for Council to note.
Thank you, Mr CEO. Councillors, so we've got a recommendation to note the minutes of the advisory committee meetings. Would someone like to move, please? Councillor Fuller? Councillor Fitzpatrick? Councillor Fuller, would you like to make a comment? Councillor Fitzpatrick, no. Would any other councillor like to speak to it? Any questions from the audience even? If not, councillors, are we all in agreement in accepting these advisory committee meetings minutes? So there are no notices of motion, no urgent business. We have public question time, and I'm going to hold everyone to a very tight schedule as we have some confidential business to consider. So the first question I have tonight is from Barbara Griffiths, and her question is, will Council reconsider reinstating timed parking meters as small traders are missing out on customer income? We would have gone to Murphy Street Jewellers recently, but without the app, realised we would be in Myrtleford the following day, so we went to the jewellers there. A PR disaster for the town. Well, I'm not sure I agree. And in February this year, Council decided to move from using a combination of parking machines and the Easy Park app. And it was something that Council considered that to actually replace timed parking meters was going to cost Council a considerable amount of money. And we were moving into technology that was already in many ways obsolete. A voucher system has also, well, in terms of the payment system where the app is the primary method for payment, a voucher system has also been implemented for those who don't use the app. This amended payment system has been fully in place since July after a period of informing and assisting users. Since July, there has been a significant uptake in the use of Easy Park to pay for parking, with over 14,000 transactions in September 2025, compared with just 7,000 in September 2024. A significant number of vouchers have also been issued. There is ample unpaid parking options and unpaid timed options that remain available throughout the CBD for those who prefer not to pay. Maps identifying these areas are available in the council offices or on the council website. Council continues to monitor how the parking system functions and will consider feedback and ways to improve the payment system. That's the response to Barbara Griffiths' question. So are there any other questions from the audience tonight?
I'd like a question.
Well, excuse me, yes, just there.
Hi, Charlotte Byrne. Just a question on the back of that question. Mayor Grant, you've mentioned that there's been a doubling of uptake between September and September. Has that equalled an increase in income from parking meters? And if so, is there the option to review the contract with the coastal car park before its end at 2034 that you mentioned earlier?
The council has had discussions with the contract holders, and there is limited opportunity to review that. So paid parking is very much a reality for the rural city of Wangaratta in the CBD. We are looking at ways that we can make it more user-friendly, and we're currently going through that process. Thank you, Charlotte. Any other questions from the audience, please? John?
John Griffiths from Morale. I've got two questions, they're pretty straightforward. First one's about cat curfews. And I believe about half of the Victorian councils have some sort of cat curfew system in place. I'm just wondering what's the progress with this council, what position they have in bringing such a bylaw.
Please.
Thank you for that question. Council is currently going through a process of developing a new domestic animal management plan, and that's been out for public consultation recently. As part of that plan, there's an action identified that we will look at a cat containment policy, and the idea is that we will develop that policy over the coming months and years and implement that in our community. On the back of engagement with our community. So there'll be a conversation with the community first before we implement something like that.
Thank you. Your other question?
Yes, two questions about the rollout of the purple bins for glass containers. I believe that this is a mandated policy from the Victorian Government.
That's correct.
For all landowners, but I'm just curious to know the fact that I rang up to council officers and to ask them why wasn't the rural landowners getting a purple bin. I'm not sure how many missed out, but we certainly missed out. And apparently there was some decision made by council, so I'm just wondering where we go with that, because I started putting bottles aside and then to find out we're not going to get a purple bin.
Thank you. Director,
can I answer that? Thanks for your question, John. So the purple bin rollout, you're right, in general it is going to be all councils and all households. There is some exceptions for that though, or exemptions for it. And as we get closer to the 2027 date when they must be done, we'll need to publish them on the website. But realistically, how it will work, it will mainly focus on the township areas, so the rural areas, as a general rule, will miss out. That doesn't mean that some of them can't be added at a later stage, but we will put some more communication out as that comes. There's obviously a further rollout of those purple bins to come, as well as the green bins as well, and we're just waiting, as per the council meeting when that was adopted, for the state government to release their final white paper that it will tell councils exactly what is excluded and what's included. I'm not sure when that'll be. It was meant to be 2.5 years ago at this point, so yeah.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Bruce. Any other questions from the audience? Yes. State your name, please. David who? Okay, David.
I've been living in Hanson's for the last 8 years, and I have asked council and ARTC about cleaning up the side of the road over the last 8 years. Last Thursday, I ended up having a snake in my garage. I jumped on the bloody thing. My partner is disabled. She cannot outrun a snake. I need it done. It stinks. It's a fire hazard now over summer. Like from the storm we got on Sunday, the water just sits there. Council and ARTC need to get together and clean this bloody thing out. We like to sit out the back to have a barbecue. We don't have family up.
Okay.
And we get eaten alive by mosquitoes.
Thank you, Mr. Lloyd. We understand what your concern is. I understand that's an ARTC issue, but I'll ask.
Yeah, but you've got it the last 8 years.
Well, that's ARTC's problem. We'll certainly. Excuse me, Mr. Lloyd. Mr. Lloyd. Yes, I understand.
Come and clean it up.
I understand what you're saying.
Well, no, you're not, because nothing's been done over 8 years.
Thank you, Mr. Lloyd.
Our street is a dead-end street. It needs it.
Mr. Lloyd, would you sit down, please?
It needs a dead-end street sign, come on. We've had such time to turn around in the street.
Mr. Lloyd?
Yes, you don't want to listen. Chill.
Any other questions from the audience? Well, Mr. Fox.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. It'll be a little bit confusing tonight because usually I'm restricted to 2 questions.
And you will be again?
Madam Mayor, you'll remember just shortly back, about 15 minutes ago, I went to ask a question about another item, and Councillor Fuller had my question moved on to question
Well,
time.
you have
So,
the opportunity.
excuse me, please don't talk over me. I know you're in charge, but don't talk over me. I got 2 questions, and now I've got a third, I believe.
No, you've got 2 questions, Mr. Fox.
Really? Madam Mayor, just a moment, I'll get up. My name is Madam Mayor and CEO. About 3:30 this afternoon, I stood in Murphy Street and I took 2 photos. One up one way and one up the other. And these 2 photos that I've got here, and I made a copy for you so you'd be able to take them home and put them on your empty room wall and just see what damage you are doing to the rural city of Bendigo. Madam, I want to display this to everybody.
Mr. Fox, this is not an opportunity to display your acting talents, so would you mind sitting down and ask the question and respond?
Madam Mayor, I don't mean to be ignorant. Sure. I'll stand wherever you like, Brendan. But I will take no notice of you if you are just trying to put your opinion on me. I am trying to put a concrete opinion to the gathering here. And that the gathering can see that we've got no customers. What's the question?
Yeah, what is the question, Mr. Fox? I'll give you a moment. Otherwise, I will close this meeting.
Madam, you can't close the meeting because this is only my first question. My first question is that will you agree to get rid of those parking meters ASAP? Yes or no?
No.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. That will be recorded and the world will be able to look it up on the net. My other question, Madam, is that we have 2 large blocks of land. One is where the Celtic service station was, and the other one is now where the Mazda dealership was. And it would really be a crying shame if both of those blocks of land were fenced off and unused during the Christmas period when they could be profitably used for parking. So, Madam Mayor, my question is, will you seriously, along with Brendan, go to the movers and shakers of both of those pieces of land and see if you can rent them for a peppercorn rental or any rental you like? But don't leave them empty and people driving around in circles looking for a spot. And David, you owe me an apology with a letter. Thank you.
Okay, now we will answer that question, and that's your final question, Mr. Fox.
Brian, in relation to your second question about those commercial pieces of land, I actually think it's worth a conversation with the owners to see whether there is anything possible there. There's a couple of other commercial sites in town that we have approached owners about before with not much success, but we don't ask, we don't get, so happy to have a conversation and see what can be arranged parking-wise.
Okay. Thank you. Was there a gentleman there that wanted to ask a question? Say the name, please.
I've got a question. I've noticed on stockyards in
the side yard, you mean?
No. Property down near the freeway on Brewer Road. Just before the freeway. That side road. Why is there no standing signs there?
I'm not sure I know the issue you're talking about. Yeah. We might have to take that question on answer. Yeah.
If I'm thinking about the same road, we've had some issues with complaints about kind of casual parking of trucks and semi-trailers in that lane, which are causing some access issues for locals and some safety issues around vehicle movement. So we've done a couple of things. We've spoken to the transport operator who operates out of there, who generally is of the view that they're often other people's vehicles and trucks, not theirs. We've also spoken to local people about some potential solutions, and one of the solutions we've put in place is the planting of some trees and some signage to indicate that it's not a parking area for trucks, and we're just keeping an eye on how that's actually going.
Okay, thank you. Now, I'm going to call an end to public question time. This is not an opportunity to create a circus, which has been tonight. This is a formal meeting. We are here to engage with our community. There's an opportunity for the community to ask us questions, not to get up and make a performance. So that's the end of public question time. We now move to item number 22, which is confidential business. And I'll need someone to move that we move to confidential business.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I would like to move that Council resolves to close the meeting to members of the public in accordance with Division 3(1) of the Local Government Act 2020 to consider the following items: support at home pricing review, confidential in nature under the Local Government Act as it contains information relating to council business information, being information that would prejudice council position in commercial negotiations if prematurely released, and also land development matter, confidential in nature under the Local Government Act as it contains information relating to private commercial information.
Okay, we don't need that seconded. We just move to the golf club, and we'll do Councillor Fitzpatrick. Second, Councillor, be in agreement.
If you're going to have a confidential decision, if we wait here, will you come back and report to us on the subject matter and the result, or will we just go home?
You can go home. We've dealt with the confidential business, and now we're at the item number 23, which is the closure of the meeting. What's his waving? Are we okay to close the meeting?
Are you reopening the meeting?
What's that? Reopen the meeting. Well, I thought we did that before. Reopen.
Move a motion to reopen the meeting to close the meeting.
Thank you, Councillor Fuller. Would someone like to second Councillor Fitzpatrick? Councillors, we all in agreement? Okay, so we've reopened and we've closed the meeting. Thank you very much, everyone, for your attendance, and join us for some supper and a